Well, I mean, what do you expect? We're gonna talk about a couple of things right now in this short episode that we'll have. I'm gonna try to make it short anyway. I don't want to spoil, everybody's energy going into the Miami GP. I'm gonna have other videos coming out, but I don't ignore things like this because they are involved in Formula One, as we see. All right, so two things: the Miami Garden community situation. Obviously, the GP is still going, so many of us are happy about seeing another race, although there is a bittersweet to that. I did report on the situation as it was developing, that the residents were going forward trying to block the Formula One GP from happening, and rightfully so, with their own reasons, and we'll get into that. And second, Lewis Hamilton weighs on some fuck shit that's going on in my country as far as the government oppressing, disregarding, disrespecting, looking down upon women's rights on what they choose to do with their bodies. Now, I'm going to be very clear when I say this, because there are going to be some people jump in the comments and say, you're pro-abortion or pro this. I'm not pro-abortion or pro-killing babies. It's not that, but this is a very complicated situation. And when you have a situation where the government is trying to enforce and secretly enforce something, we'll get into that. But no, I'm not pro killing babies. That's not my stance. My stance is, if there is a situation where a woman becomes compromised by some sicko out there, why then should she have to mentally be imprisoned to live the rest of her life out, constantly reminded of that situation? That's just one type of situation, right? We got all types, but let's get into something else as far as, and so really it's three things kind of encompassed. How do people pretty much accuse me of deleting comments? I'm not deleting comments. I set up filters, and I set up filters for a very good reason, to try to safeguard the comment section from being overly disrespecting and disgusting. All right. So when we talk about the N-word, which I tremendously hate, when we talk about racism, we talk about somebody talking about somebody's sexual preference or what they choose. And like, I have filters in place, and those filters catch those comments, and I might not go in and see those comments for several months or months at a time. Now, I approved quite a few that definitely weren't talking about somebody more than using maybe a cuss word, but it wasn't directed at anybody. I can approve something like that. I approved a lot of trash talking on me. So let's get into the run of this as far as the Miami GP and the Garden City community. At first, I was wondering, like, I don't think it's correct to really go in said place and do what you're doing. But then I realized something. I realized when I saw the room of residents, makes a lot of sense now. Now I understand why, you might be so disregarding the fact that this community doesn't want the Formula One GP in their backyards or around their community with such loud rates of engine noise and crowded people. Now, I'm not saying that they might be overreacting, and I'm not the one to say that, because it's not my community, right? It's their community. And if they feel like it's something that they don't want due to very legitimate reasons, why should that not be respected? Although logistically and economically, it could benefit their community. Is that directly benefiting them? And the question is, no, not all the time. Not all the time, right? Now, before Formula One came there, of course, the Miami Dolphins Stadium is there. Now, I'm going to show you something that shows or proves a certain disregard. I'm going to show you a comment. Of course, I blocked the name out. And I'm going to show you this. Now, this is a comment that I saw going through when I was trying to approving certain things that have been held up. He says, I live in South Florida. I was about 20 minutes away from the stadium. One, the stadium is not in Miami. It's between Miramar and Miami Gardens. Laugh out loud, Gardens. All right. So already showing that he devalues the community itself. All right. Probably don't do shit in the community. Probably don't even go out there. Probably ain't done no type of community work, but devaluing the community. The city, all cities have communities that are less developed or Lower income homes or housing are certain individuals that are lower income jobs and whatever the case is. That's just the nature of it. But that does not mean we should devalue that community and the people and disrespect them within that community. All right. Because they still are working class, which heavily supports pretty much every country in any type of county or city. He goes on to say, not to be mean, but the homes in that area are booty. OK, laugh out loud. It's also in the hood. In the hood. So that tells me quite a bit about this individual, and his mentality is shared with that of the public officials and higher income people. The hood, booty. OK, so you passing judgment on these people, right? Noise, question mark. They are mad about possible noise. No, it's not possible. Formula One cars have been loud forever. Less loud now than they were way back then, but still loud. They're not quiet. And if I'm not mistaken, the noise level does exceed which would be called the noise level or ordinance in that area for the time being. But I get it. But then he goes on, laugh out loud, uses the N-word, which I blotched out, and I hate that. I hate the N-word. There's no way to glorify the N-word and what it means and what it stands for. Florida Turnpike surrounds the neighborhoods. They also had no problem with the Super Bowl a few years ago. Also, every NFL game legit shuts down the roads. Okay, so this goes back to what I was saying. Formula One, you did a horrible shit job with communication with the community. Had Formula One built. Now, we already know the NFL definitely has situations, especially with black communities and what they've done, especially Colin Kaepernick, other situations. But then also, look, the NFL is roughly 70% black as far as participants, players, elite football players that play in that sport. Formula One ain't up to that capacity, not even half. Lewis Hamilton is one person within a driver's seat. Just saying. So right there is a little bit more connection to the NFL. Not saying that they don't have their faults, because like I said, my country and my sports in this country have their faults. But let's just keep it real when we talk about relationships. Then on top of that, NFL has been within these communities for years with youth programs, with the NFL players going out into the community, meeting the community. They've done a job over years with building a relationship. And let's not play games. NFL games are nowhere near as loud as this Formula One race is going to be. Just stop it. Just stop it. But had Formula One done like I had suggested before, went in several years, if not 2 years prior to this, to build a relationships with the community and the people in that community to gain an interest in Formula One, in driving, in the racing situation, went in there and probably did, I'm not going to even give them any of my ideas, then you would have took the community or people that reside there, and you would have gained people that would have probably been a buffer, if not defended Formula One being there to a magnitude it would have never escalated to a court case. And maybe it would have, but there would have been a number of communities or citizens there that would have voted for Formula One being there without such a messy situation happening. That I don't agree with how it was handled, but I also think it could have been avoided with Formula One doing a better job with reaching out to the community. Instead, you reach out to a lot of government officials, a lot of people that probably don't give a damn about these people in this community, and that wasn't such a good look for you. So that's what I'll say on that. Now let's get to this other situation. Lewis Hamilton being the great person that he is. We already know he's the GOAT of Formula One. All right. We know this. He is. He's the king of Formula One. He's the GOAT. He's one of the most accomplished drivers in Formula One history. Nobody on the grid currently right now is more accomplished than Lewis Hamilton in Formula One. Nobody on the grid right now has more championships than Lewis Hamilton in Formula One. You'd have to put a few drivers together to get a group of drivers that would have that much. OK, so let's stop the bullshit. Your hate is invalid. And it kills me when a lot of people do this. But Lewis Hamilton weighs on something that's going on in my country, which we talked about that was going on in Saudi before they went into the Jeddah the Grand Prix, right? Oppressing women. My country right now, government officials decided to try to quietly reverse something that's been in place to protect women's rights when it comes to pregnancies. And for months now, they have decided that they are going to charge people as an illegal act if you are going to get an abortion in said states or you are aiding in abortions, to the degree that if you're an Uber driver and you pick somebody up and they're going to get an abortion and it's illegal or frowned up on that state, they then can prosecute you. Like, what the hell, you just picking somebody up and taking them. It's crazy. So Lewis Hamilton has a story post. I did not see this story post. It was sent to me. So I'm going to say a supposed story post by Lewis Hamilton. As you know, the story post only stay up for 24 hours. As you can see, when this one was screenshot, it's 23 hours. It says, I love being in the States, but I can't ignore what's going on right now and what some in the government are trying to do to the women who live here. Everyone should have the right to choose what they do with their bodies. We can't let the choice be taken away. He's got a very valid and huge point. Now, we already know we have certain constraints in place that if women are so far along, like, come on, like, you got a baby kicking inside of you, like, there are other options that we can do or initiate that don't cause for ending a life that at that stage. Okay, it's a very hard line to draw. It's a very tough situation, but there are situations that I believe justify if a woman, especially in early stages, is going to take that decision. If your daughter, your mother, your sister is a rape victim, then finds out they're pregnant, do you think it's right that the government says, no, you're going to keep that man's baby? You're going to keep that pedophile, that rapist, that criminal. You're going to keep that baby and you're going to live with that. That's not right. That's not right. And in some cases, I've heard they're trying to give more time than you would somebody who's committed that act. How many times do we see rapists and child molesters out here, constantly repeat offenders out here in the street until they kill some kid, kill some woman, kill some man, and like, you just been letting them out. But you're trying to oppress and imprison women? Come on now. Now, I do, like, we know that there are an extent, and we're not going to get too deep on this, but the main thing is Lewis Hamilton does not ignore political, civil rights, human rights, gay rights, whatever rights, people rights. He does not ignore that. And that's what makes him, furthermore, the GOAT and the king in his sport. You all want to sit up here and think politics don't belong in sports when that's bullshit. Politics been involved in sports since the beginning of sports. Do you not recall the gladiators? Do you not know who was there in those front row seats during that so-called sporting event that was very bloody? Yeah, it was emperors. It was government officials, politicians. So cut the bullshit. Do your history. Do your research. Politics have been involved in sports since the birth of sports. Y'all speak and spew all this type of shit. Don't even do any type of level-headed thinking or research or knowing of some type of history. And I'm not the best historian. I'm not the professional journalist here. But some of these journalists, they get paid all this money. You need to get your head out your ass when you're talking about certain things, for real. I'm not too afraid to step down and take a look and learn a little bit. Lewis Hamilton, salute. Because when you do things like this, you show that you're a bigger person than the sport that you're in. When somebody says something like this, we all know what they face. The ridicule, the backlash, the potential of losing their career, Colin Kaepernick, that they face. So when you do something like that, that's big balls, that's big chest, that's big love. And he's absolutely correct. My country is screwed for that. They messed up for that. And they messed up for trying to slip this bill by a Supreme Court judge on something without letting the public know, the people know. It's not only other places in the world that's jacked up. The United States of America been jacked up in many ways. So, yeah, we're not without fault. Not one bit. And I talked about that. I've been full disclose and transparency about that when I talked about the whole Saudi situation and before that. And I'm talking about it now. I still stand by that. I served my country proudly in the military, and I don't regret it. Because I think that's the ultimate citizen. That's the ultimate level that you could do to be a citizen in your country, is to serve your country and protect your country. And a lot of you all talk shit, call us out our names, and you ain't never had the balls to even go out there and do that. But you wanna do your big talking. I got you. I feel you. But anyway, salute to Lewis Hamilton. The Formula One GP being there at Hard Rock, I understand logistically. I looked at some things. I can understand why they chose that, but I do think there was some other place they could have chose. I mean, the stadium is right next to Homes. Could have chose Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Stadium, the Jaguar Stadium. Further away from Homes, probably wouldn't have been in this situation. But is Jacksonville as gleaming, as star-studded as Miami? Hell no. So I understand the choice. With that, we are about to get into some racing. This is true. All right, my energy gonna be up, but we gotta do the tough stuff with the great stuff, tough things, love things. We gotta do all that. That's what I do here. So if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you respect me. You here. I love and appreciate you for it. All right, so let's get on. About to get into this race. We're about to have a good time. About to see where some of these updates. I'm going to be trying to do that video soon on updates that the teams are bringing. And then it's going to be time for quality kickback and finale lap real soon coming at you. Like I said, you want to be here to see the shirt I'm wearing. Trust that on Saturday. Peace. Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.